vicarious loss of life on extreme circumstances bordering on an act of absolute madness that is beyond understanding. So even the defense joins the victim's family and the prosecution and the court in arriving at the conclusion it was a gruesome murder. Horrific, frightening. Let's now look at another important aspect that the court has considered. The consequences of the offense. From where I sit as a court, each one of us is responsible for the natural and the probable consequences of our actions and or omission. So it's not just an issue of committed an offense, but the far-reaching consequences of that offense cannot be ignored. And so in this case, it is undisputed that the deceased was the managing director of the family's business in South Sudan. It is undisputed that the business collapsed after her demise. It is undisputed that that was the source of income for the family, and we can all appreciate the natural and probable consequences of that. I have already made reference to the fact that the other consequence of this offense is what has been described, and unless there is evidence to the contrary, I believed it because it's in the probation officer's report, that the mother of the deceased suffered depression and stroke, and she has hardly healed. I've spoken to what the brother is said to be undergoing. This court, and I never lose out on anything, I try to get as much of in-depth of the material before me as I can, has been invited to take cognizance of the fact that the father of the deceased at one time said, I will let go. That did not form part of my record, because what formed part of the court's record is his sentiments as expressed in the brigade report, and that is what I would safely go by. But I'll be concluding with one or two other findings that could probably remove us from that mind thought that the father said, do not, vengeance is not mine. I also want us to just, in concluding, other than looking at the manner in which the offense was committed and the consequence or the impact of the offense, I took a bit of time to look at the character of the accused person. I have already spoken to how the probation officer describes him: aggressive, antisocial personality, and concludes he has double personality trained. But let's look at what else this court was able to gather while hearing this matter on the character of the accused person. It was the evidence of the guards at Royal Park Estate, where he was staying, that he would not allow himself to be searched. He would brandish a gun and say, I work at State House, and just drive off. It is the evidence of the brother of the deceased that even during the hearing of this case, at one time, he blocked his car when the case was going on. And of course, you have heard from the IO, even when he was out on board, he was still involved. I'm not condemning him because there's no charge before me. But the court cannot avoid looking at this, Because at the end of the day, the question is this: is this a person you want to release back to the society? And these issues become extremely critical for consideration. Finally, this matter and the evidence adduced does not lead to a conclusion that this murder was accidental. That the perpetrator did not have an opportunity to think about the consequences of his action. It was intentional. It was not a defensive act. It was not out of provocation. It was planned, it was intended, and it was executed. The act of murder, one person's life ends, but countless number of lives are forever impacted. I will read again. In an act of murder, one person's life ends, but a countless number of lives are forever impacted. Secondly, murder leaves behind a trail of shattered dreams and broken hearts that can never be healed. Murder leaves behind a trail of shattered dreams and broken hearts that can never be healed. I have said the accused person before me is 33 years. The deceased was 28 years. Thirdly, the act of murder is a heinous crime that challenges the moral fabric of society and demands justice. And so it is not just a loss to the immediate family. Of course, it is in the highest degree, but it's a loss to the society when one is killed unlawfully. And so, based on everything I have said, I have ordered that the first accused person before this court being Joseph Kuria Irungu alias Jowie, shall suffer death as provided for the offense of murder under section 204 of the Penal Code of Kenya. Unless that sentence is lawfully set aside by a court of competent jurisdiction. That is the order of the court. Thank you.